Honestly, I don't know what to call this battle, but I call this battle of you come for me, I come for you as a white person. Black Americans arrested, Black Americans stepped back, Black Americans said, keep doing your thing, and now this is what is happening. Anyways, a white woman actually took to her social media platform to be able to address a lot of things she think according to her really make sense. And I actually want you guys to also watch this video and let me know what you think, because in as much as, let me reserve my comment for the last part. Watch this video and let me know your honest opinion and listen to the other answers that her fellow white folks actually gave to her. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do it, subscribe, like this video, drop me your comment, and lastly, do not forget to share for every other person to get this good news. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, joining my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. With that being said, let's go watch, and I'll be back with commentaries. Let's go see it, guys.
So you can't be a good white person and put your body in between them trying to kidnap a brown person or harm a black person. When you do that, you lose your proximity to whiteness and you lose the benefits that come along with it. That's the cost. We're all acting so shocked that they murdered a white woman. Well, see, she wasn't a good white. She was out there advocating for brown people, so she lost her proximity to whiteness. This is the work of dismantling white supremacy. This is what it's going to cost. It's time for some radical acceptance. Because they've been out there killing black and brown people for hundreds of years. And people who looked like me were having picnics under black bodies as they blew in the breeze after they'd been lynched. And then 6 years ago, when they kneeled on George Floyd's neck, we all put a black picture in our Instagram, acting as if that were enough. In order to dismantle white supremacy, we have to be willing to lose the benefits of whiteness. Means they kill us too. That's what that means. And it's time for some radical acceptance about that, guys. That's what it's going to take to dismantle white supremacy, is losing the benefits of the system. So we can't be so shocked as white people continue to die. Because we weren't this shocked when black and brown people were dying. Because we expected it. Not because we weren't grieving, but we expected it, right? You should expect it. We have to lose the benefits of the system if we want to tear the system down. White supremacy has been killing black and brown folks. And it's not going to go down without a fight. So if you lose your proximity to white supremacy and whiteness, you will lose the safety that goes along with it. So shocked that they murdered a white...
Are we shocked? I'm not shocked. I feel like a whole bunch of us have been screaming that this is where we were headed the whole time. One of the main talking points that I have had is that everybody should give a shit about what's happening right now, because if it's not affecting you right now, it will down the line. I've been trying to tap into that extremely selfish vein of whitehood this entire time, screaming, hey, it starts with the minorities. They start with the people that are on the fringes. And then once they establish that it's okay to kill them, they branch out until it's white people. And yeah, white people who are queer, white people who film, white people who put themselves in between ICE and their targets. They're gonna die. Because we've nurtured an environment where that kind of violence is now acceptable. It was never going to just stop with the people on the fringes. They just had to start somewhere. They knew that you all wouldn't give a shit until it was too fucking late. They banked on it. They banked on your selfishness and your perceived invincibility as a white person to get you to let them to target everybody else until they had enough power and enough influence that now they can target you. Congratulations. This is quite literally the United States a lot of you voted for. And now, if you try to leave the scene while ICE is trying to arrest people, they will shoot you. Just like they shoot everyone else. Congratulations. We're here.
So you can't be a whiteness.
A lot of you who hear this message are going to understand that you knew this as a child. You knew this as a child. And I highly recommend that you go watch her full video. The link's in the description. It is very important. And I'm going to go into an area that's going to be uncomfortable for some of you. And it's going to be visceral and intimate. But it is necessary because I believe it is the foundation for what she's saying. That so many people that look just like me are shocked that someone that looks like them could have this happen to them on the streets of Minneapolis. And she goes on to say, but this is something you need to understand and get comfortable with, is that you're going to lose your proximity to whiteness. If you're going to stand with those and advocate for those and defend those who aren't white. And she basically saying that a lot of people seem like they don't understand this, but I'm going to argue that a lot of you already know this, and you've known it since you were little. You maybe just didn't realize it. So I'm going to explain it to you. And I've talked about this before within the last month about Dean Withers had someone on his podcast who was asking why it's wrong to grape children. And I went into talking about how there are a lot of you out there who were gatekeepers when you were little. Gatekeepers of the jokes, the locker room talk, the bigotry, the racist rhetoric. And you weren't gatekeepers because you thought that it was true and you believed like those who were saying these things or doing these things. It's because you understood that your proximity to safety could be challenged if you were to speak out and tell what uncle said, or what dad said, or what grandpa said, or what mom said. Because when you're 10 years old, 11 years old, you understand, a lot of you understood, that in order to stay safe, you just had to keep quiet. You understood the injustice of what you were hearing people say around you, but you knew that if you spoke up and raised feathers, that would make it to where you may not be safe anymore. You heard people around you who were close to you say things when you were growing up, and so you understood that it wasn't safe to stand up for certain communities of people. I know you all understand. Not all of you, but a lot of you are hearing me right now and you understand what I'm saying. People that said they loved you, you came to understand as you got older that it wasn't unconditional love necessarily. It was conditional on you not breaking cycles, on you not disrupting the trauma that everyone swept under the rug. Because loyalty makes you family. And you understood this. You understood these proximities. And I'm going to share a very personal story with you real quick. When I was in junior high and high school, we moved to a new school. And one of the first people that I became friends with was this young boy who was half Hispanic. His dad was just like me. His mom was Hispanic. And I watched how being his friend put me in the line of target, right? The line of fire, if you will, of being bullied because I was his friend. And not only because he was half Hispanic, but because he was also more effeminate, which didn't matter to me. I see people for who they are inside. And I was his best friend for 6-7 years going into community college. And there were people all around me, some of the closest people in my life, who made fun of me for being friends with him and who made fun of him behind his back. And I understood, even as I was a teenager, going into my, 15, 16, 17 years old, that it was very difficult to push back on the things I heard from people that said they loved me, because I didn't know the certainty of what would happen if I said how I felt. A lot of times I felt like I had a vice around my neck, that I just had to take what I heard because I had somewhere to live. And I had heard enough things growing up to know that there were people around me who were glad that I wasn't like him, who were relieved that I didn't turn out to be part of a community that they target. And I know a lot of you out there have that same childhood as I did. We've understood the proximity. I've understood for a long time that sticking up for people and seeing them as equals and worthy, that lessens the proximity of those who don't see it that way. This goes for anything, not just the color of your skin. This goes for your orientation, who you love. This is so much deeper. And every time you stand up and advocate for a certain group, because you've known that since you were younger, that justice for all actually meant something, and that you see people as equals because you're compassionate and empathetic, and you've always been that way inherently, you lose a little bit of that proximity along the way. And a lot of you now find yourself very isolated, with hardly anybody around you, maybe little to no family, maybe just your wife or your husband and your kids, because you've chosen to stand for people, because you care about people. It's the hardest part. It is very hard, but for a lot of you out there, you don't have a choice. You don't have a say in it. It's who you are. And I'm going to argue that the only reason, the main reason that the man at the top has any support left is because a large portion of those who we perceive as supportive of him, they're afraid just like you were when you were little. They never broke the cycle because they didn't want to be ostracized or disowned or abandoned by people that said they loved them. And now they find themselves in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and they've gone so long keeping up with that cycle that breaking that cycle seems impossible maybe to them. The speaking up and saying, hey man, actually, this isn't okay at all. Taking that risk of those around them abandoning them because they finally speak their truth, that can be debilitating. And I would argue that even more so, carrying that weight of the trauma and abusive cycles into your 50s, 60s, and 70s. Whereas a lot of us, when we were younger, we broke the cycle and stepped away. And the fear of losing those who are all you've ever known, I think a lot of these people are just going along to get along because those around them are all they have. And they understand, just like we did as kids, that if they speak up, if they cross over that line and they join us on the streets and they stand for people that don't look like them, they might be saying goodbye to all those who they thought cared about them. And maybe that's all they have left. It's a really sad situation that we're in this country. And this woman explains it so beautifully, yet so so terrifyingly. I hope that this helps some of you out there understand that you've always known the proximities you've lost as you've gone through life. Some people just realize it later, some never do.
Anyways, welcome back, guys, and I hope you guys have seen all of that video. And if you listen to the last man, the man said, don't listen to that child. I don't know why he said that, but I don't know why a lot of white folks think that they literally have this privilege, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't see any privilege. In fact, the only people that I can even say they literally have privilege is Black Americans. So I don't see white people having all of that privilege, and that is why you will never see me preaching idolizing white folks. I don't do that. In as much as what she say, I totally do not agree with everything. I just know that they are coming into this realization right now because it has affected one of their own. They're coming to say all of these things they are saying right now because it has affected one of their own. Because the woman that was pupilled by ICE agents, if she was eventually a Black person, I don't think the news would have fly that high. It went that high because she was a white person. Despite the fact that most of the clips that I've literally seen, they say this woman always come out for Black people, support Black people, advocate for Black people. I don't know how true that is, but you guys let me know. But according to my research, that is what I've seen, and of which I appreciate her for that. But nobody deserves to be pupilled that way. So what am I saying in essence? In essence, what I'm saying is a lot of them are coming to react, are coming to say a lot of things, making it look like they want to make it suit the narratives of Black people, because at the end of the day, it is affecting them. It is affecting them. People should normalize preaching unity, as far as I'm concerned. Although I usually do tell my Black Americans, even when you want to eat with the devil, you definitely need to eat with a long spoon. That's the reality of life. But people should always normalize unity. Losing proximity to whiteness, blah, 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 dismantling white supremacy, and so on and so forth. I don't know how this actually eventually make all of that sense. But everybody is coming out to talk right now, especially coming from the white folks. They're coming out to talk because it has affected one of their own. A lot of people, a lot of Black people have been pupilled, have been unalive, just name it, without anybody hearing it. So the level is getting to right now, it's gonna be definitely terrible. But I'll leave you guys to let me know your comments in the comment section. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. And out of the 3 speakers, who do you think actually spoke your mind? I really want to know, especially coming from my Black community. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I want to say a very big thank you to every one of you supporting, liking, commenting, and also sharing my videos. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. Anyways, with that being said, with no further ado, I do like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.